The first thing you notice is the light. It falls wrong, not the honest kind that pours straight down from the sky, but a slanted blade of gold slicing through darkness, thick enough that you can almost hear it. Dust floats inside it, slow, deliberate, like it has nowhere else to be. Your hand is buried in dirt. Cold earth packs beneath your fingernails as you drag your fingers back, breath shallow, heart pounding so hard it feels like it might bruise you from the inside. The smell hits next. Old wood, damp stone, something metallic, not rust exactly, sharper than that. Beside you, a small weight presses against your leg. Warm, alive, you look down. Your dog, your scrappy little terrier, mixes there, chin resting on your knee like this is the most natural place in the world to be. One ear is torn at the tip, the other cocked forward, eyes bright and unafraid. His tail thumps once against the floor. You don't know where you are, but somehow you know this moment matters. Your fingers close around glass, thick glass, heavy. You lift it slowly, dirt sliding away, clumps falling back to the floor with soft thuds that echo too much for such a small space. When you tilt the jar toward the light, something inside catches fire. Gold, not bars, not coins, flakes, hundreds of them, thousands, suspended in stillness, glowing like trapped sunlight. Your throat forgets how to work. The dog lets out a low, satisfied huff, as if to say, "See?" As if this was always where the path led. And you don't know it yet, but this is the moment everything begins to change. 3 days earlier, you are nobody. That's not self-pity. It's a fact you've learned to accept the same way you accept hunger or cold. You move through the world without leaving marks. People look past you like you're part of the background, another weathered object the city forgot to remove. Your name doesn't matter much anymore. What matters is the pack on your back, frayed straps, patched seams, and the dog trotting ahead of you on a length of scavenged rope. He moves like the world still owes him something. Nose low, ears twitching, every smell a story worth chasing. You found him months ago behind a closed diner, ribs showing, growling like he was made of anger and stubbornness alone. He followed you without ceremony after you shared half a sandwich. You never named him. Names imply permanence. The road out of town narrows into a trail, asphalt surrendering to dirt, then to pine needles. The forest rises around you, tall and quiet, the kind of quiet that doesn't feel empty, it feels observant. Your boots are worn thin, soles flexing too easily over stones and roots. Each step sends a dull ache up your legs. You welcome it. Pain means you're still moving. The dog stops suddenly. The rope snaps taut. "Hey!" you mutter, voice rough from disuse. "Easy!" He doesn't listen. Something has him now. Body angled forward, muscles tight, tail rigid as a rod. His nose quivers. A sound slips from his throat, sharp and electric. Then he bolts. Damn it! The rope jerks free from your hand. Burned skin stings your palm as you lunge too late. The dog disappears between ferns and saplings, a flash of white and brown swallowed by green. You stand there, chest rising too fast, listening. Branches snap, leaves scatter. A high-pitched squeal cuts through the forest. "A rabbit!" "Of course," you mutter. You curse under your breath and start after him. The ground slopes downward more steeply than you expect. Roots claw at your boots. Loose stones slide underfoot. You grab at a tree, bark scraping your forearm, and steady yourself. The rabbit bursts into view, a blur of gray panic, then vanishes over the edge of something. The dog follows without hesitation. "No!" Your voice tears out of you as you run. The ravine opens up suddenly, a jagged wound in the earth hidden by undergrowth. You skid to a stop just in time, dirt spraying forward as your boots dig in. Below, the land drops sharply, walls of stone and tangled roots descending into shadow. Your heart slams once, hard. "Hey!" you shout. "Hey!" silence answers, then movement. Far below, the dog appears, scrambling down a narrow ledge, tail wagging like this is the best mistake he's ever made. He looks up at you and barks once. Proud, triumphant. Relief floods you so fast your knees threaten to give out. "You idiot," you breathe, half laughing, half shaking. You search for a way down, spotting a slanted path worn into the side, maybe by animals, maybe by water. It's steep, but it's there. You descend carefully, hands out, body angled low, every muscle tight with focus. Halfway down, something catches your eye. Not movement, pattern. Vines spill over a section of the ravine wall, thicker there, twisted together like they're hiding something. The rock behind them looks wrong, too straight, too deliberate. The dog noses at the vines, paws scraping at the dirt. He barks again, sharper this time. "All right," you murmur. "I see you." You push aside the greenery. Cold air breathes out at you. It's subtle but unmistakable. A steady exhale from the earth itself, carrying the scent of damp wood and age. Beneath the vines, a dark opening reveals itself, rectangular, reinforced with rotting beams. A shaft. Not natural. Your pulse quickens. You crouch, brushing away more vines, fingers tracing the edges of worked timber. Someone built this a long time ago. The dog squeezes past you, disappearing inside before you can stop him. Wait! His nails click against something solid within. The sound echoes, deeper than it should. You hesitate. Every instinct you have, honed by years of bad luck and worse decisions, tells you to walk away. Holes in the ground don't lead to good places. Curiosity has cost you before. But the air coming from inside is cool, clean, and the dog is already gone. You lower yourself into the opening. The shaft slopes downward at a shallow angle, walls reinforced with timbers gone silver with age. Your hands trail along them as you move, splinters biting lightly into your skin. Darkness presses in, thick and intimate. Then, light, a faint glow ahead growing stronger with each step. The shaft opens into a space larger than you expect, a cabin. Underground, the ceiling arches overhead, supported by beams blackened with time. Crates are stacked against one wall, some collapsed, others stubbornly intact. Tools hang where hands left them decades ago. Pickaxes, pans, lantern hooks. Nature has been patient here. Roots snake through cracks, leaves drift down from somewhere unseen. Dust coats everything in a soft, undisturbed layer. The dog trots ahead, sniffing, tail swaying lazily now, as if the urgency is gone. As if he's led you exactly where you're supposed to be. Sunlight breaks through a gap in the ceiling, piercing the gloom in a single glorious column. That's where you kneel. That's where your fingers find the jar. And that's where the world shifts, quietly, without ceremony. One forgotten breath of history brushing up against a man with nothing left to lose. You don't know who built this place. You don't know why it was abandoned. All you know is that you are no longer empty-handed. You don't take the jar with you at first. That surprises you. It sits there in the dirt, half-cleaned, gold flakes catching the light every time you shift. Any sane person would grab it immediately, clutch it to their chest, run. But you've learned something about sudden gifts. They come with strings. You straighten slowly, joints protesting, and look around the cabin again. Really look this time. The dog has moved to the far wall, nose pressed to a stack of crates. He sneezes, then paws at the wood, splintering it with a sharp crack. Careful, you whisper, though your voice barely carries. Your words feel too loud here, like they might wake something. You step closer to the crates. Most are stamped with faded markings, letters softened by time, numbers barely legible. One has collapsed entirely, spilling its contents across the floor. Metal pans, bent nails, a cracked canteen, and paper. You crouch, picking up a bundle held together by twine that disintegrates at your touch. The pages are brittle, yellowed, edges nibbled by damp. You open the first one carefully. A ledger. Names line the page in looping script. Dates, tallies, notes scribbled in margins. May 3rd. Found color in the creek. Spirits high. June 14th. Enough dust to justify staying another winter. August 2nd. Jim hasn't come back from the ridge. You swallow. The dog pads back to you and sits, shoulder pressed against your shin. His warmth grounds you. Keeps you here. You flip another page. September 19th. Snow came early. Supplies low. We'll make one last run before we head out. The next page is blank. So is the one after that. Your eyes drift back to the jar and the light. One last run. You sit back on your heels, dust puffing up around you. The silence presses closer now, heavier than before. This isn't a treasure cache left behind by accident. This is a place people didn't leave. A chill slides up your spine, not from fear exactly, but from the weight of time. Lives paused here, hopes measured in flakes and ounces, then nothing. The dog whines softly. I know, you murmur. I feel it too. You stand and explore further. There's a narrow sleeping area carved into one side, bed frames reduced to rusted outlines. A stove sits cold and cracked, ash still clinging to its belly. Someone carved hash marks into a beam nearby. You count them without meaning to. 37 days, weeks. You stop when you realize your hands have curled into fists. You spend a long time pretending the past can't catch you if you don't look back. But places like this don't let you lie. They tell you exactly what happens when people chase something shiny without a way home. You pick up the jar then. It's heavier than it looks. Dense, solid, real. The dog's ears prick as you tuck it carefully into your pack, wrapping it in an old shirt. He watches the movement closely, eyes tracking, tail giving a slow, thoughtful wag. We're not telling anyone, you say quietly. The words surprise you again, but they feel right. Not yet. The climb back up the shaft is slower. The pack's weight changes your balance, pulling you back toward the earth as if the cabin itself is reluctant to let go. The dog goes first this time, scrambling up with practiced ease, pausing at the top to look back at you. You emerge into daylight, squinting, lungs filling with forest air that smells suddenly new. The ravine looks ordinary again, just rocks, dirt, vines. If you didn't know where to look, you'd walk right past it. You cover the opening as best you can, draping vines back into place, pressing loose stones into gaps. Your hands move automatically, careful and precise. You've hidden things before. You don't head back to town. Instead, you make camp deeper in the woods, far from trails, far from roads. You build a small fire hidden by rock and earth, boil water in a dented pot, and eat the last of your bread slowly. The dog curls beside you, nose tucked under his tail. Sleep doesn't come easily. Every time you close your eyes, you see gold catching light, hear names tracked on paper, feel the weight of choice settling onto your chest. At dawn, you wake with a plan. It's not a good plan, or a smart one, but it's yours. You return to the cabin that day and the next. Each time you take something small, a pan, a ledger, a tool you can carry without notice. You clean them by the creek, reading names aloud as if that might keep them from disappearing entirely. The dog learns the route quickly. He waits at the shaft, alert, watching the forest while you work below. Once he growls low and steady until you freeze, listening, then relaxes only when a deer passes harmlessly through. Days turn into weeks. You don't strike it rich overnight. You don't suddenly stop being hungry or tired. But you learn. You pan the creek the way the ledger describes. You collect dust carefully, patiently, step by step, flake by flake. Hope stops feeling like a fantasy and starts feeling like work. One evening, as you sit by the fire counting your growing stash, the dog lifts his head suddenly. His body goes rigid, ears high. Footsteps, not yours. You cover the fire fast, hard hammering, eyes scanning the dark. Someone else is out here. You don't move. Neither does the dog. The forest holds its breath with you, every sound suddenly sharpened to a blade. Your fingers curl around the edge of your pack, knuckles whitening as you listen past the thud of your own pulse. Step. Another. Slow, careful, human. The dog shifts first, placing himself half a step in front of you without a sound. His back stiffens. A low vibration builds in his chest. Not a bark, not yet. A warning meant for you alone. You crouch, easing down behind a fallen log slick with moss. The fire pit is already smothered, stones cool beneath your palm. You scan the dark through a lattice of branches. A figure moves between the trees. Just a shape at first, taller than you, broader. A flashlight beam flickers briefly, then clicks off, swallowed by shadow. Whoever it is knows better than to advertise themselves. Your mouth goes dry. You've learned the difference between hikers and people who don't want to be seen. This isn't someone lost. This is someone looking. The footsteps stop. So close now you can hear breath. The dog's lip curls, a whisper of teeth. Easy, you breathe, barely more than thought. You stay still until your legs begin to ache, until the night stretches thin and fragile around you. Somewhere off to your left, a branch snaps, too deliberate to be an accident. Then the figure moves on. The sound fades, dissolving back into forest noise, the creak of trees, the distant rush of water, the soft pulse of insects returning to their work. You wait long after it's gone. When you finally exhale, it feels like air has to remember how to reach your lungs. The dog looks back at you, eyes dark and questioning. "I know," you whisper. "I know. You don't sleep after that." At first light, you circle the area carefully, moving slow, scanning the ground. Dew clings to leaves and spiderwebs, making the world glitter falsely bright. Near the edge of your camp, you find them. Footprints, boots, heavy tread. Recent enough that the edges are still sharp. They're not following you. They're heading the same direction you are. You kneel beside the prints, fingertips hovering just above the dirt. A strange calm settles over you, the kind that only comes when fear stops being abstract. Someone else is circling the same secret. You break camp immediately. Nothing left behind. No signs. You scatter ash, lift stones, erase what little trace you can. The dog stays close, glancing back more than once as if memorizing the path. You don't go straight to the ravine. Instead, you loop wide, pushing through denser brush, crossing the creek twice to mask your trail. It takes longer. Your muscles burn. But when you finally approach the hidden shaft, the forest feels empty, too empty. The dog freezes, his nose lifts, testing the air. He sneezes once, then backs away from the vines with a soft, uncertain sound. Your stomach tightens. You move the greenery aside. The opening looks the same, but the ground in front of it doesn't. Fresh scuffs mar the dirt, leaves disturbed. A stone turned over, damp side up. "Someone has been here!" The realization lands with a dull, heavy certainty. Not panic, not yet. Just the understanding that the quiet deal you made with this place has been broken. You don't go down! Not today! Instead, you retreat to higher ground and watch the ravine from a distance. Hours pass, light shifts, shadows stretch and retract. The dog lies beside you, eyes never fully closing. Near dusk, movement flickers below. A man emerges from the vines. He's older than you expected. gray threaded through dark hair, beard untrimmed, clothes layered and practical. He pauses, scanning the forest, hand resting near something heavy at his hip. A hammer or a hatchet! He doesn't smile! He covers the shaft poorly, too quickly, like someone used to being rushed, then disappears downslope. You sit there long after he's gone, anger simmering low and dangerous, not because he found the place, but because he didn't understand it. That night, you return to the cabin. The dog hesitates at the entrance, nails scraping against wood as if arguing with himself. You rest a hand on his shoulder until his tension eases, then descend together. Inside, something is wrong. Crates have been shifted, tools disturbed. The ledger stack you left neatly arranged is scattered across the floor, pages torn free and crumpled. You kneel, gathering them with shaking hands. Jim hasn't come back from the ridge. Supplies low. We'll make one last run. You smooth the pages carefully as if the paper can feel pain. The jar of gold is still hidden where you left it, untouched. The man didn't know what he was looking at, yet. You sit there in the dim light, dog pressed against your side, and make another decision. This one heavier than the first. You won't leave. You won't sell and vanish. This place kept it secret for over a century. If someone wants what it holds, they'll have to understand its cost. Above you, roots creak softly as the forest settles for the night. You wake before the forest does. The air underground holds steady, cool, stale, untouched by dawn, but your body knows the hour anyway. Muscles tighten, breath shallow, senses alert in a way that has nothing to do with rest. The dog is already awake. He lifts his head the moment your eyes open, ears angling toward the shaft above. For a few seconds he listens, utterly still, then relaxes when nothing answers back. No footsteps, you murmur. His tail taps once against the dirt. You sit up slowly and light the lantern. The flame catches, throwing soft amber across the cabin walls, turning dust into drifting constellations. The place looks different at this hourless, like a hiding place. More like a memory refusing to fade. You gather the ledgers, all of them. You stack them carefully on the crate that's become your table, smoothing the covers, aligning corners as if order itself might keep the past from unraveling further. The dog settles beside you, chin on his paws, eyes tracking your hands. You begin at the beginning. The earliest entries are hopeful, confident, men writing as if the land is something that can be persuaded with enough effort. Found promising veins upriver, color improving daily, cabin construction underway, good shelter before winter. Names repeat: Jim, Carter, Ellis, 14 in total. You trace them with your finger, one by one, letting each exist for a moment. As the days progress, the handwriting changes. Neater script gives way to rushed lines. Margins fill with calculations, arguments, crossed out plans. Supplies run low. Weather turns. Snow heavier than expected. Ellis fell ill. Fever won't break. We should have left when Carter said. You pause there. The dog shifts, pressing closer, his warmth seeping through your sleeve. You keep reading. The last ledger is the hardest. The ink is faint, watered down, as if whoever wrote it was rationing even that. We've gathered enough dust for a lifetime, but the pass is gone. Avalanche took the ridge. Your chest tightens, not with fear, but with recognition. Routes close. Doors vanish, sometimes quietly, sometimes all at once. The final entry is dated late spring. Jim says we can wait it out. I don't think he's right. There is no signature. You close the book gently. The dog lifts his head, searching your face. They didn't make it, you say softly. None of them. The words don't echo. The cabin absorbs them, patient, as if it has been holding on to that truth all along. You understand now why the gold was left behind, why no one came back for it. This wasn't a stockpile forgotten in a hurry. It was a promise that outlived the people who made it. Above ground, the forest begins to wake. You hear birds testing the morning, the distant rush of the creek swelling with meltwater. Life continuing, indifferent but persistent. You pack carefully. Not just the gold dust measured, portioned, hidden, but the ledgers too. Not all of them, just one. The last, the one that tells the truth. The dog watches every movement, tail swaying slowly, approvingly. When you shoulder the pack, he stands and heads for the shaft without being told. At the opening, he stops. This time, he doesn't hesitate. He looks back at you, eyes steady, and waits. You climb out together! Daylight hits you full in the face, bright and honest, and for a moment you have to blink away the sting. The forest smells different now that you know what lies beneath it. Less like shelter, more like a witness. You don't return to camp. Instead, you follow the creek downstream, farther than you've gone before, until the trees thin and an old service road cuts through the brush. Tire tracks scar the dirt. Fresh, your pulse picks up. You crouch, studying them. Same heavy tread you saw near your camp. The stranger is moving supplies in, planning something longer term. The dog growls low. I see it, you whisper. You could leave. Walk away with what you have. Enough to change things slowly, quietly. But the ledgers weigh heavier than the gold now. You know what happens when people rush this kind of place. When they take without listening. History doesn't repeat itself. It waits. That night, from a ridge overlooking the road, you watch a small fire burn. The stranger sits beside it, back turned, eating from a tin. You stay hidden, silent, planning, because tomorrow you won't just be surviving. Tomorrow, you'll be protecting something that was never meant to be stripped bare again. You don't sleep much that night. From your perch above the service road, the stranger's fire burns low and steady, a dull ember against the dark. Smoke lifts straight up, barely disturbed by wind. Whoever he is, he knows how to keep a flame small, controlled. That worries you more than carelessness ever could. The dog lies pressed against your side, his body a warm anchor against the cooling air. Every so often his ears twitch, tracking sounds you can't hear yet. When he shifts, you shift too, mirroring him without thinking. Somewhere after midnight, the fire goes out, the darkness thickens. You stay where you are until dawn bleeds slowly into the sky, pale and uncertain. Only when birds begin their tentative calls do you allow yourself to move. You circle wide again, descending carefully, keeping trees between you and the road. The dog scouts ahead, stopping often, waiting for your nod before continuing. He's learned the rhythm of caution quickly. Near the creek, you find new signs. A tarp stretched between trees, a coil of rope, a stack of supplies hidden beneath brush. This isn't a man passing through. This is a claim being staked. Your jaw tightens. You back away without disturbing anything and retreat to the ravine. The vines hang as you left them, natural and careless. The shaft breathes out its quiet, constant sigh. Inside the cabin, the air feels heavier today. Not hostile, expectant. You set your pack down and sit, elbows on knees, staring at the dirt floor between your boots. The dog noses your hand, insistent grounding. What do we do? You murmur. He doesn't answer, he just stays. You take inventory. Gold dust, still modest, but growing. Tools. Food enough for a few more days if you're careful. One ledger tucked safely away. And time. Time is the thing you don't really have. The stranger will come back, not because of the gold yet, but because this place fits whatever plan he's forming. When he does, he'll dig deeper. Ask harder questions. He'll notice what he missed. You decide to act before that happens, not with confrontation, with misdirection. That afternoon, you work the creek openly downstream from the ravine, far enough that anyone watching would draw the wrong conclusion. You pan slowly, deliberately sloppy, letting frustration show in your posture. The dog splashes through the shallows, chasing minnows, barking like, "This is nothing more than another aimless day." You feel eyes on you by evening. You don't look up. You pack your things loudly, deliberately, and move camp closer to the road, close enough to be seen, careless enough to invite assumption. The dog plays his part perfectly, trotting along without tension, tail loose. That night, footsteps approach without subtlety. You're sitting by a small fire when the stranger steps into view. Up close, he looks harder, weathered skin, eyes that don't waste time on pleasantries. He stops a few paces away, hands visible, posture relaxed but ready. "Didn't expect to see anyone out here," he says, his voice is even. "Practiced." You shrug. "Didn't expect much of anything." The dog positions himself between you and the man, not aggressive, just present. The stranger's gaze flicks to him, then back to you. "You prospecting?" "Trying," you say. You let a bitter laugh slip out. "Not much luck," he nods, as if confirming something he already suspected. "Yeah, creek's been picked clean for decades. You poke at the fire with a stick, sparks jump and die. Figures." He watches you a moment longer, then jerks his head toward the trees. "Road's that way if you're heading out. Storm's coming. I'll manage." Another pause. Then he turns and walks away, footsteps fading into brush. Only when he's gone do you realize how tight your shoulders are, how carefully you've been breathing. The dog exhales, long and slow, and leans into you. "That went well," you whisper, "but relief doesn't last." Because when you return to the ravine the next morning, the vines have been pulled back. Not all the way, just enough. The shaft yawns open like an eye that knows it's been seen. Your chest locks mid-breath. Inside the cabin, crates have been moved again, tools laid out neatly this time. Someone has been methodical. The dog refuses to go further than the threshold. He plants his feet, nails digging in, a low sound rumbling from deep in his chest. "I know," you murmur, crouching beside him. "I know." You step inside alone. The ledgers you left behind are gone, not torn, not scattered, taken. You sink onto a crate, the weight of it pressing down hard and sudden. The stranger doesn't just want gold anymore. He wants the story. You don't chase him. The thought flashes hot and immediate. Run down the trail, confront him, demand the ledger's back, but it burns out just as fast. Anger is loud. Anger makes mistakes, and mistakes get people buried. You sit there instead, in the half-light of the cabin, listening to the soft drip of water somewhere deep in the rock. The space feels smaller without the papers. Emptier. Like something essential has been pulled out and the walls haven't realized it yet. At the threshold, the dog stays planted. He won't cross it. His body is angled away from the dark, head low, ears pinned, not in fear but in refusal. You've seen this posture before, once, months ago, when a bridge half collapsed under your weight and he'd frozen, unmoving, until you found another way around. This is the same. Something has shifted here. You stand slowly and step back outside. The forest greets you with ordinary sounds, cruel in their normalcy. Birds chatter, leaves whisper. Somewhere far off, something knocks against wood. Human-made. Your pulse picks up. You climb to higher ground and scan the road. Nothing. No movement. No smoke. Just tracks pressed deeper now, heavier, leading away from the ravine, toward the ridge, toward the old pass the ledger mentioned. Your mouth goes dry. If the stranger believes there's another way out, another route, the prospectors miss, he'll find out the hard way that the mountain hasn't changed its mind in 100 years. You retreat to camp and pack in silence. The dog sticks close, brushing against your leg as if counting you, making sure you're still there. When you shoulder the pack, it feels lighter than it should. Gold weighs less than knowledge, it turns out. The climb toward the ridge is brutal. Loose shale shifts underfoot. Air thins. Wind sharpens. You move carefully, choosing each step like it matters, because it does. The dog navigates the terrain better than you, hopping from rock to rock, pausing often to look back and make sure you're still following. Halfway up, you find the first sign, a dropped glove. Leather. New. You crouch, touching it briefly, then leave it where it fell. Warnings are rarely heeded, but you're not here to erase his trail. You're here to see where it ends. Clouds roll in faster than expected, bruised and heavy. Snow begins as a whisper, then thickens, flakes clinging to your hair, your jacket, the dog's whiskers. The world dulls to gray and white. The ridge looms ahead, jagged and unforgiving. That's where you find him. He's standing near the edge, ledger in hand, arguing with the mountain like it might listen. His pack lies open at his feet, supplies scattered. When he turns and sees you, surprise flickers. Then irritation. You followed me, he says. You took something that wasn't yours, he snorts. Nothing out here belongs to anyone. You step closer, careful, boots finding purchase on slick stone. Those men died because they thought that. He glances down at the ledger, then back at you. They died because they quit. The dog growls, low and steady. The stranger shifts his weight, just a fraction. Enough that you see it, enough that you know. You can't cross here, you say. The pass is gone. He laughs. Short, sharp, everything has a way through. A gust of wind slams into you both, stealing breath, ripping sound away. Snow whirls, blinding. For a moment, the ridge disappears entirely. Then the ground moves. Not much, just enough. The stranger stumbles, arms flailing, ledger slipping from his grip. It skids across the rock, stopping inches from the edge. You dive for it without thinking. Your fingers close around the book as your body slams hard against stone. Pain blooms along your shoulder, bright and immediate. The ledger is half off the ridge now, spine creaking, pages fluttering wildly. The stranger reaches for you. Misses! His boot slides. Once, twice. Time stretches thin and fragile. The dog lunges forward, jaws clamping onto the strap of the man's pack, teeth sinking in, weight pulling backward with everything his small body has. He digs in, muscles shaking, refusing to let go. The pack tears. Supplies spill. The stranger scrambles, clawing at rock, panic finally breaking through his practiced calm. He hauls himself back inch by inch until he's flat on the ground, gasping, eyes wide and wild. Silence crashes down around you, broken only by wind and harsh breathing. You push yourself up slowly, shoulder screaming in protest, ledger pressed tight to your chest. The dog releases the torn strap and returns to your side immediately, leaning into you, checking you with quick, anxious sniffs. You were warned, you say quietly. The stranger doesn't answer. He just stares at the drop, at how close he came to vanishing into it. Snow thickens. Visibility shrinks. You turn away first. You don't look back. By the time you reach the tree line, your legs are shaking, your body wrung out and hollow. You collapse against a trunk, sliding down until you're sitting in the snow. The dog presses his head under your chin, grounding you, steady and insistent. Thank you, you whisper, voice breaking despite yourself. Above you, the storm closes ranks. Below you, the cabin waits. The storm doesn't ask permission, it just takes. Snow thickens until the forest blurs into a tunnel of white and shadow. Wind threads through the trees with a sound like tearing fabric, bending branches low enough to creak and groan. Each step you take sinks deeper than the last, boots fighting for purchase where the ground no longer remembers being solid. You lean into it, shoulders hunched, pack biting into your collarbone. The dog stays close, too close, really brushing your leg every few steps as if counting them. When you stumble, he stops instantly. When you pause to breathe, he turns and faces the wind, teeth bared, daring it to come closer. "Almost there," you tell him. "You don't know if that's true. The ravine should be visible by now." You've walked this route a dozen times, but snow erases landmarks with frightening ease, smoothing the world into something unfamiliar and hostile. You check your bearings again, fingers numb as you adjust the compass you scavenged months ago. The needle wobbles, then settles. Southwest. You trust it. The dog hesitates suddenly, paws skidding slightly as he stops short. He sniffs the air, then lowers his head, ears flattening. "What is it?" you ask. He doesn't answer. He never does, but he turns away from your chosen path and noses toward a stand of trees clustered tightly together, their branches forming a dense canopy even under the weight of snow. "Shelter!" Understanding clicks into place. You follow. Beneath the trees, the wind loses some of its bite. Snow still falls, but slower here, muffled, like the forest itself is holding a hand over the storm's mouth. You crouch, breath fogging thickly, and take stock. Your fingers burn now, first sharp, then dull. Your shoulder throbs where you hit the ridge, each movement sending a reminder through muscle and bone. Fatigue creeps in, heavy and persuasive, whispering that sitting down wouldn't be the worst thing. You shake your head hard. Not yet. You clear snow from the base of a tree and wedge yourself in, back against the trunk, knees drawn up. The dog circles twice, then curls against your chest, small body radiating heat far more precious than gold. You wrap your arms around him instinctively. Time stretches, minutes blur, maybe longer. The storm roars on, indifferent to your small pocket of resistance. You focus on details to stay awake, the rhythm of the dog's breathing, the way his fur feels damp and coarse under your fingers, the steady thud of your own heart refusing to quit. You think of the cabin, of men scratching hope into paper while snow sealed their fate outside. You think of the ledger pressed safe inside your pack, edges bent but intact. Proof, warning, memory. You didn't let them be forgotten, you whisper, unsure who you're speaking to now. I won't either. The dog shifts, pushing his head under your chin, forcing your face upward. His eyes meet yours, dark, intent, unblinking. Stay awake! You do! Eventually, the wind eases. Not gone, but tired! Snow lightens, flakes drifting instead of attacking. The forest exhales. You test your legs cautiously. Pins and needles scream as blood remembers where it belongs. You grit your teeth and stand, swaying once before finding balance. Okay, you murmur. Okay! The ravine appears at last, a darker slash against white ground. Relief doesn't rush in all at once. It trickles, careful, like it doesn't quite trust the moment. You descend slowly, using trees and rock for support. The vines at the shaft entrance sag under snow, but they're still there, still hiding. Inside, the cabin welcomes you like an old, silent friend. You collapse onto the dirt floor, pack thudding beside you. The dog shakes violently, spraying snow and ice, then presses close again, trembling, fading as warmth returns. You light the lantern with shaking hands. The soft glow fills the space, chasing shadows back into their corners. Crates, tools, beams marked with old hash lines. Still here. You pull the ledger free and place it carefully on the crate table. Its pages are damp at the edges, but readable. Alive. You did it! For the first time since the storm began, you allow yourself to lie back fully, staring up at the ceiling where roots snake slowly, patiently, through earth and stone. Above ground, the stranger will be making his own reckoning, if he made it down at all. You don't feel triumph. You feel something quieter, heavier, responsibility, because surviving this place isn't enough anymore. Now you have to decide what comes next. You wake to silence, not the hollow kind that follows danger, but a settled quiet, layered and deep. The storm has passed. Whatever rage the mountain needed to spend, it's spent elsewhere. The lantern has burned low, wick hissing softly. Pale morning light filters down through the shaft in thin, hopeful lines, catching on dust and root and the slow drift of time. The dog lifts his head when you stir. He stretches, front paws extended, back arching, then presses his nose into your cheek with unapologetic insistence. You laugh once, short, surprised, before you can stop yourself. All right, you whisper. I'm up. Your body protests as you sit, shoulder stiff, legs heavy, but the pain is clean now, honest, earned. You check the ledger first. It's still there, edges curled, spine worn but whole. You flip through the pages again, slower this time, letting the words settle differently now that you've lived part of their ending. Then you notice something you missed before, not words, space. between two entries near the end. There's a faint indentation, almost invisible unless the light hits it just right. You tilt the page toward the shaft. A pattern emerges, numbers pressed hard enough to scar the paper beneath. Coordinates. Your breath stills. You trace them carefully, copying them into the dirt with your finger. They don't point to the ridge. They don't point out. They point here. Deeper. You follow the markings across the cabin, heart beating faster with each step, until you reach the far wall, the one where the dog had pawed at crates on your first day. The wall looks solid, but now you see it. A seam. Straight. Deliberate. You knock once, the sound comes back wrong. Hollow. The dog is suddenly at your side, tail wagging hard enough to thump against your leg. He sniffs the wall eagerly, sneezes, then paws at the seam with renewed purpose. Okay, you murmur. Okay. Together, you move the crates. It takes time, your shoulder complains loudly. But piece by piece, the wall clears. Behind it, planks nailed into place wait patiently, as if they've been expecting this moment. You pry them loose. The wood groans, then gives. Behind it lies a narrow chamber, smaller than the main cabin, sealed tight, untouched by roots or damp. The air inside is dry, preserved, and there, stacked neatly along the walls, are jars, dozens of them, heavy, thick glass, each filled with gold dust, flakes layered so densely they look almost liquid. Labels cling to some, ink faded but legible. For the families, if we don't make it, return this to town. You sink to your knees. This wasn't greed, this was responsibility. The prospectors didn't hide their wealth to hoard it. They hid it because they knew they might not survive the journey back, and they refused to let their work vanish with them. The society wasn't a myth at all, it was a promise. The dog nudges a jar with his nose, then looks up at you, tail swishing like he's pleased you finally understand. They were waiting, you whisper, not to get rich, just to be remembered. You don't cry, not yet. Instead, you sit there, surrounded by sunlight trapped in glass, and let the truth rearrange you. This isn't a find you can sell piece by piece and disappear from. This is something bigger. You spend the rest of the day cataloging, counting, matching names in the ledger to labels on jars. The dog naps intermittently, waking only to reposition himself closer to you, always touching. By evening, your decision is made. You pack what you can reasonably carry, just enough to prove what you found, enough to start something honest. The rest stays hidden, sealed, protected by earth and time. Before you leave, you stand in the center of the cabin and speak aloud. I'll do it right, you say. I promise. The words don't echo, they settle. As you climb back toward the surface, the dog pauses halfway up the shaft and looks back, ears perked, tail high. For the first time since you met him, he doesn't look like a survivor. He looks like a guide who knows his job is nearly done. The walk out of the forest feels longer than the walk in, not because the distance has changed, but because you have. Every step carries weight now, not just in your pack, but in your chest. The jars clink softly when you move, a careful, muted sound, like they're aware of how fragile this moment is. The ledger is wrapped tight, pressed flat against your back where you can feel it with every breath. The dog trots ahead, confident, unburdened. He stops often, looking back to make sure you're still there, then continues when you nod. He's done this before, guided you out of places you thought you'd never leave. When the trees finally thin and the road appears, cracked asphalt cutting a clean line through dirt and scrub, you stop. Town waits beyond it. So does everything you've been avoiding. You stand there longer than necessary, scanning the quiet stretch of road. No cars, no dust plumes, no sign of the stranger. If he survived the ridge and you suspect he did, he's smart enough to know when a mountain has won. The dog sits beside you, patient. All right, you say, let's go. The town doesn't recognize you when you arrive. That's fine, it never has. You wash up in the river first, scrubbing dirt and blood and weeks of forest from your skin. The dog splashes happily, shaking water everywhere, then rolls in the grass with unapologetic joy. By the time you're done, you almost look like someone who belongs among buildings again. Almost. You don't go to a pawn shop, you don't go to the bank, you go to the Historical Society. It's a small building tucked between a dentist's office and a closed bookstore, windows dusty, sign faded. Inside, it smells like paper and lemon cleaner. A bell chimes softly as you step in. An older woman looks up from behind the desk, glasses perched low on her nose. She takes you in slowly, your worn boots, your pack, the dog sitting obediently at your heel. Can I help you? She asks. Yes, you say. Your voice sounds steadier than you expect. I think I found something you've been missing. Her expression shifts. Not disbelief, but curiosity sharpened by long practice. You lay the ledger on the counter first, then the jar. Gold catches the overhead light, flaring bright and undeniable. The room goes very still. Minutes stretch into hours after that. Questions pile up, careful ones, skeptical ones. You answer them all slowly, precisely. You show her the ledger entries, the coordinates, the labels on the jars. You tell the story without embellishment, letting the truth carry its own weight. Others arrive. A man from the university, a county official, someone who remembers stories his grandfather used to tell about men who went into the mountains and never came back. They listen. They believe you. When you finally step outside, the sun is setting, painting the sky the same warm gold you've been carrying for weeks. Papers are signed, promises made, not to rush, not to exploit, not to turn history into spectacle. The site will be protected, documented, honored. Funds will be released, not charity, not a handout, but a finder's share, legally recognized. Enough to change things. Enough to start again. You sit on the steps as the door locks behind you. The dog hops up beside you, leaning his full weight into your leg. "Well," you murmur. "That happened." He pants happily, tongue lolling, eyes bright. Over the next weeks, life shifts in small, careful increments. A room with a door that locks, a bed that doesn't move. A job helping catalog the find your hands steady now, your days purposeful. People learn your name, you learn to answer to it again. One afternoon, as you walk past the edge of town, you glance back toward the distant line of mountains. Clouds cling to the peaks, hiding secrets you now know how to respect. The dog follows your gaze, then looks up at you, tail wagging. You smile, because for the first time in a long time, the future doesn't feel like something you have to outrun. It feels like something you can walk toward. Success doesn't arrive all at once. It settles in quietly. You notice it in small things first. The way you wake up without bracing yourself, the way your hands don't shake when you count change, the way silence no longer feels like something you have to survive. Morning light fills the room you rent now, slipping through thin curtains and landing across the floor in soft rectangles. Dust floats there, slow and harmless. You watch it for a moment from the edge of the bed, breathing evenly. The dog is already awake. He lies, sprawled on his back, paws in the air, chest rising and falling with deep, uncomplicated sleep. One ear twitches when you move. His tail thumps lazily against the mattress when he senses you near. "Good morning," you murmur. He rolls over and presses his head into your hand, demanding contact like this has always been his right. You dress slowly, no rush, no urgency clawing at your ribs. Today is like most days now. Work at the society, sorting artifacts, answering questions from people who never expected to hear the end of stories they grew up with. Before you leave, you pause by the window. The mountains are visible from here on clear days, their outlines softened by distance. They look peaceful from town, almost gentle. You know better. At the Historical Society, the building hums with quiet purpose. Archival boxes line the tables. Photographs are spread out under weighted corners. You handle each item with care, as if touch alone might change its meaning. The ledger rests in a glass case now, open to its final entry. A small plaque beneath it reads, "Recovered and preserved through the integrity of a single finder." Your name follows. It still feels strange to see it there. A group of school children passes through mid-morning, herded by a teacher who keeps apologizing for their noise. "You don't mind!" One boy lingers near the case, eyes fixed on the gold flakes displayed beside the book. "Did they really leave all that behind?" he asks. You crouch beside him, resting your forearms on your knees. "They did. Why?" You glance at the ledger, at the careful handwriting, the faded ink. "Because sometimes getting out matters more than what you're carrying." The boy thinks about that, then nods like it makes sense. Outside, the dog waits patiently in the shade. When he sees you, his entire body lights up, joy unfiltered and immediate. He leaps to his feet, tail whipping the air, as if hours apart were an eternity. You kneel and scratch behind his ears. "You ready?" you ask. He is always ready. You walk the long way home, past the edge of town where pavement gives way to dirt. Grass sways in the breeze. The world feels wide again. Not threatening, just open. At a small rise overlooking the valley, you stop. From here, you can just make out the tree line where the forest begins, dark and dense and full of old breath. Somewhere beyond that, hidden under vines and patience, the cabin remains. Sealed, protected, waiting only to be remembered, not stripped bare. The dog sits beside you, gaze following yours. He leans into your leg, solid and present. "You did good," you tell him. His tail thumps once. Content. You don't go back to the ravine. You don't need to. What mattered was never the gold itself. It was the proof that even the most forgotten places hold stories worth honoring, and that sometimes redemption isn't about taking something hidden. It's about bringing it into the light without destroying it. You turn back toward town, toward dinner and routine and tomorrow. Behind you, the mountains stand watch. Beside you, the dog warps on.